Hello everyone and welcome back to LewisNews, your #1 YouTube channel for all types of Spider-Man news. Hope you're all having a good day, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and the story trailer. We're going to be breaking everything down, so let's get straight into it. So we start off the trailer with a dialogue exchange between Peter Parker and Harry Osborn. As you can see on screen right now, they look like they are on a school football field. Probably Midtown High, since Midtown High is the school that both Harry Osborn and Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson attended during their high school years. We can see Harry talking to Peter, and essentially this exchange between the two of them is Harry talking about how he's had a second chance at life. Now, we know that Harry in the previous game, Marvel Spider-Man 1, was in fact really ill, and his illness was disguised with a trip to Europe. Now, it seems that the symbiote in this game is going to be healing him, and that is his second chance, quote unquote. Now remember this, because this will be very relevant come the end of the trailer in a piece of dialogue from Venom. So Harry then goes on to say, "Let's cure the world. We're going to cure the world." And essentially, he is probably referring to the symbiote, because the symbiote is the thing that is going to cure him. We know from the Ultimate Spider-Man comic line, the symbiote was created to basically cure cancer by Richard Parker and Eddie Brock Sr. And it looks like they're going to be adapting that version of the symbiote in this game. Maybe a mix of both, and we'll talk about why a little bit later on. But as we do know, obviously, the symbiote was being developed by Norman Osborn in the previous game, so it's not out the realm of possibility that they could be fully adapting that storyline. Anyway, after the Marvel logo, we get a shot of Peter and Miles running off a building. Now, this is very interesting, and I don't think a lot of people will notice this and this particular detail, but this is our first look at Brooklyn in this game. So we do know that Marvel Spider-Man 2 will include all of Manhattan, just as we had in the previous two games, but it will also include sections of Queens and Brooklyn, specifically more so on the side of Dumbo Brooklyn, that we're going to get Queens, we're going to get Midtown High and Peter Parker's house, and essentially that kind of neighborhood complex. And how you can tell it is Brooklyn is because on the right hand side you can see the Williamsburg Bridge, because on the left hand side you can see the Brooklyn Bridge, and right in the distance you can see the Statue of Liberty on the other side of the Manhattan Island. So obviously this is the East River, and we know the Williamsburg Bridge is next to the Brooklyn Bridge, so obviously that kind of lines up there, which means that this is obviously Brooklyn. So this is our first look at Brooklyn, and as they do dive off this building, we can see that they are in some sort of school complex. Now, a bunch of people will say that this is Midtown High. In fact, this is not true, because they are in Brooklyn and not Queens, because Midtown High is in Queens. Basically, we know the school in Brooklyn that is known basically in the Marvel universe is Brooklyn Vision's Academy, and we can see that the Brooklyn Vision's Academy color scheme is on the tennis courts and on the seats off to the football field on the right. And basically Brooklyn Visions is the school that Miles Morales attended. So if you guys are wondering which school Miles Morales attends in the comics and basically in the movies and in the games, basically how Peter attends Midtown High, Miles attends Brooklyn Vision's Academy, and this looks like Brooklyn Vision's Academy to me, since they are obviously in Brooklyn. We then also get some more shots of just the landscape and basically just showing off how beautiful this game looks. So I think they cut to a shot in Manhattan, I believe. So this is a very, very cool shot. It switches from Brooklyn to Manhattan very seamlessly, but it's just basically a scene of them swinging. We also do then get a shot of, I think this might be the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure we're still in Brooklyn in this shot here. And then we move onto this shot where we can see the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge, obviously still in Brooklyn, looking over the Manhattan city skyline. I gotta say, just this game looks absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait to play this, because we get 2 new boroughs, and we also get updated graphics, and it's going to look really, really cool with the power of the PS5 obviously in our hands. And now this is probably the most exciting part of the entire trailer when it comes to locations. We actually do get our first shot of Coney Island. Now, we know Coney Island was going to appear in this game, and it looks like it's going to be at full life. And obviously we do get a scene with Harry, MJ, Miles, Genki, and Peter meeting up at Coney Island, and we'll talk more about story implications for this scene just a second. But because all these characters are meeting up here, probably the 5 main players in the story are all meeting up here, this means that probably a lot of big story missions or some side missions will be taking place on Coney Island, which is really exciting because that means that a bunch of doors will be opened for, you know, side quests and side missions at Coney Island. I think that would be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's move on then. So obviously the story implications for this scene. We know now that Genki does know Peter's secret identity because we found out in the gameplay trailer that came out a few months ago that Genki does in fact know Peter Parker's secret identity. We didn't actually know how, but it seems like Miles will introduce Genki to Peter, and obviously he is Miles's guy in the chair, so they all kind of have that like relationship. Obviously, Harry Osborn doesn't know Peter is Spider-Man, but MJ does. So maybe there might be some sort of tension between Peter and Harry later in the game as well. We know that Miles refers to Peter's time as Spider-Man as tutoring, obviously because he's covering up his secret identity from Harry. So obviously, we know that Harry doesn't know his secret identity at this point in the game, which is why I think this could be a crucial bit of information to come back around later in the story. But obviously, we also get a really good look at Harry and the new design for Mary Jane Watson as well. And personally, I really like this new MJ design. I think it's so much better than the first game. I know a lot of people disagree with that. I know a lot of people do not like this version of MJ. I think it's just going to take some getting used to because we're so used to the fringe and the hair coming over her forehead and that kind of style that MJ had in the first game. I prefer this version, but I don't know what all of you think. Let me know in the comment section down below. But I definitely prefer this version of Mary Jane. Some fans have even gone to say that it looks like a brand new face model, but it just isn't. If you put the two characters side by side, you'll notice that a lot in their appearance is changed by the hair that MJ has. It is the same face model. They do look the same. But either way, we get a good look at Harry Osborn as well. Obviously, he looks very different from the first game too. And this looks like it's going to take place after Harry is recovered from the symbiote. So exactly where in the story, I don't know when this will take place, but he looks like he's at good health. Obviously, like I said, he hasn't got the glasses either. We know Harry Osborn had glasses in Marvel Spider-Man 1 from what we knew about him. So potentially, maybe the symbiote is curing more than just his health. Maybe it's curing his vision as well. We'll just have to see. Maybe I'm digging a little bit too deep into that, but this is a brand new design for Harry Osborn, and he looks pretty good. The only gripe I have with this design is that he looks too much like Peter Parker. I saw way too many people on Twitter and on the social medias when all this was coming out yesterday that Harry looked a little bit too much like Peter. When scenes of Harry would pop up, people would be like, oh, that's Peter Parker, but it's not. It's Harry Osborn. I think he looks too similar to Peter, but oh well, you know, we'll get used to that, and I'm sure we'll be able to differentiate them more we see them on screen and in the game. Anyway, Harry Osborn meets Miles Morales and Genki, and then we also get our first proper look at Miles Morales as well, and his new haircut. I'm not gonna lie, I love Miles' new haircut. I think it looks sick. I think Miles' look in this game looks really cool as well. And then we also get a really good look at Peter Parker from the front. So we haven't really had a front angle from Peter either, but we get a good look at Peter Parker here. And just as Miles Morales and MJ got a glow up for this game, so did Peter Parker, and by far he got the biggest glow up because everyone was complaining about the face model being changed for the remaster in Miles Morales, but damn, does the face model work here. It was specifically introduced to be a part of this game, and you can tell. Obviously, they changed it for the remaster just to get people used to it, and obviously, going onto the PS5, that face model worked better anyways. But you can tell that they wanted this face model for this game specifically because of how good it looks here. You cannot deny, even if you like John Bubniak more than the new face model, this face model does work with this game. The graphics look amazing. The model fits. You know, it doesn't look off. I think it looks great. So, either way, the face model looks good. Peter's had a glow up. Miles has had a glow up. The graphics are amazing. MJ looks amazing. Everything looks amazing in this game. And one thing I've just noticed, actually, you can see a guy in Coney Island with a Spider-Man shirt in the background, which is shaped like a love heart with the eyes on it and it's glowing. That's really awesome as well. Anyway, let's move on. So we get a shot that we got from the gameplay trailer as well with a Craven Hunter ship flying over Manhattan. Obviously, that was from the gameplay trailer as well. This will be the Lizard mission as well. We then get a bunch of men dropping down into some sort of warehouse, and then we get basically a guy in a bear costume confronting Spider-Man. Now, it looks like these guys in the bear costumes, they look really, really big in terms of their build. I reckon these guys will be the big thugs that we have to actually fight. So if you guys remember in the first game and in Miles Morales, you would have basically regular thugs, and then you would have big thugs that would have more health, and they would basically be harder to take down. I think that will be the type of thug that this guy is here in the bear costume. I think he'll be a representation of the bigger thugs, at least for the Craven people, the hunters as they are called in the game. So yeah, that is pretty interesting that we get to see that. Obviously Spider-Man remarking that I didn't know bears were in these woods. That's pretty funny because, you know, he's Spider-Man and he quips. Either way, we get a shot of Spider-Man gliding over Central Park. This is awesome, once again showing off the web wings and also the speed lines as well to make it look like you are traveling really, really fast. We then get another good look at MJ as well. This looks like it might be inside Peter Parker's house, formerly Aunt May's house in the game, which we know is in Queens, which will be really awesome as well. We also then get a shot of Kraven the Hunter, which we saw in the gameplay trailer as well, and a bunch of Kraven ships flying over Manhattan, and then a bunch of speedboats as well arriving on the scene. I imagine this will be a part of the Lizard mission as well that we saw from the gameplay trailer. We also then get a shot of Peter Parker in a tuxedo, looking like he's about to serve someone at a really fancy restaurant. I have no idea where this is from. I don't know how this comes about, and I have no idea where this takes place in the story, because this is probably one of the most awesomest shots in the whole trailer, because damn does Peter look great, and do the graphics look amazing, as I've mentioned a million times. But also, where does this take place? How? I don't know, but I'm certainly interested to find out how this works, where this takes place, and what point in the story does this take place as well. Maybe Peter is trying to disguise himself. Maybe Peter is posing as a waiter to get information from, I don't know, maybe Kraven the Hunter if he's at a posh restaurant. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, that's it's very interesting to say the least. We also then get a good look at Spider-Man fighting another one of those mechanical Kraven bots that we saw in the gameplay trailer. This time, Spider-Man is not donning the symbiote suit. He is in his red and blue suit as well, so that's pretty cool as well. But here is the scene that I find probably the most interesting when it comes to story. Obviously, I mentioned at the start of the video, at the start of the breakdown, that they are taking heavy inspiration and are adapting the Ultimate Comics version of the symbiote storyline, where Norman Osborn is obviously developing the symbiote to cure diseases. And we know that in the Ultimate Comics, Richard Parker and Eddie Brock Sr. did develop the symbiote as a scientific project to cure cancer. We know that the original origin for the alien symbiote was in fact during a comic event called Secret Wars that Marvel put on to basically bring all the big characters together. That is where Spider-Man got his new suit. But by far the most popular origin story for the symbiote suit is in fact the one where it crashes down to Earth, and obviously that is made popular by Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 and the 90s animated cartoon, and obviously Spectacular Spider-Man as well, which all used the version of the origin story for the symbiote where it crashes down to Earth. And it looks like we may potentially be getting a flashback sequence here, as you can see on screen, of a meteorite crash landing down on Earth and the symbiote at the scene of the site. Like I said, originally we thought that they were developing the Ultimate Spider-Man version of the origin story for the symbiote, where Norman Osborn would go on to develop it himself as a cure for Harry Osborn. But it looks like they are going to be combining the two origin stories and basically having it being an alien that crash landed on Earth, and then presumably it is taken in by Norman Osborn to study it and develop it further, so it could potentially be used to cure diseases, which I think is really, really interesting, because they are taking the best of both worlds from both the 90s animated series, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, Spectacular Spider-Man, etc., and the Ultimate Comics version of the origin story for the symbiote alien costume, which I think is really, really interesting. So yeah, that is probably one of the most interesting story bits that we got in this trailer. That it looks like the symbiote did come from outer space and wasn't directly developed by Oscorp. We also then get another good look at Miles Morales and Peter Parker. Supposedly, this is either in Queens or Brooklyn once again, because you can see the buildings are quite low, and there are trees as well. You can see the Manhattan city skyline in the background, so that's pretty awesome. We then get a good shot at Miles Morales. This is during the Kraven Lizard fight scene as well that we saw in the gameplay trailer, because you can see here him pulling a civilian out of danger, and the helicopters in the background as well. Then we get a shot of Martin Lee. Now, I had no idea he was going to be in this game, but I think this is really, really interesting, because obviously we know that Martin Lee killed Jefferson Davis in Marvel Spider-Man 1, and he is being confronted by Miles Morales. Now, where this is, I'm not too sure. I believe this might be on Rikers Island, but I don't think they would be doing the same sort of prison break that they did in the first game, because that would be a little bit repetitive. But we can see that Martin Lee is donning the prison outfit, obviously the orange jumpsuit here. He looks a little bit run down, and there is fire in the background behind Miles, including Peter Parker running over to civilians looking like he's about to help them. So this looks like it might be some sort of form of prison break, or some sort of, I don't know, destruction or event where Martin Lee has escaped, and the Spider-Men have to track him down and basically bring him in. And this could be a really cool portion of the story for Miles Morales, having to confront the person who killed his father. That could be really good for his character. But yeah, I think that's really interesting that he's going to be in the game. How much he'll tie into the main story, I'm not too sure, but I think it's interesting that we have gotten Martin Lee, because we know that Venom is going to be appearing in this game. And how does Venom become anti-Venom? We know he comes into contact with Mr. Negative. So potentially, if Martin Lee does feature in this game and he is prominent in terms of the main story, we might be getting anti-Venom at some point in the game. Obviously, that's a very big wild card, a very big what if, or a very big kind of like, you know, it might happen, it might not. Very big thing to happen for the story, but it could happen, since Martin Lee is now confirmed to appear in this game, which I think is very, very interesting. We then get a shot of, I think Mary Jane Watson and Spider-Man with a Kraven hunter in front of them. This is a very interesting, very nice shot as well. We then get Miles fighting a bunch of flying Kraven robots who are trying to steal some sort of package. Whatever this will be, I don't know. Then also we get a shot of Spider-Man about to jump out of a window, and this interesting character on the left, I don't know who this is, but this could be Yuri Watanabe. We know that she is becoming Wraith in this game as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe that's a scene relating to that story. But yeah, I believe this might be Yuri, this might be someone else. It certainly doesn't look like Harry Osborn, Miles, or MJ, or Ganke, or anyone like that. So it could be Yuri, or maybe a different character altogether. We then get a shot of Miles that we saw from the gameplay trailer, with Peter jumping and landing in front of him with the symbiote suit and the tendrils coming in from his back. And then we get dialogue over these couple of scenes with Peter with the symbiote, basically saying that Peter hasn't been himself. Basically, MJ and Miles are really, really worried about him. We then get a scene of MJ hiding as Peter jumps down through a doorway, and we can see the red light reflecting off Peter's symbiote costume, and MJ looking in a lot of distress here. This is really terrifying, because we know that obviously the symbiote is making Peter aggressive. We know the symbiote is almost taking control of Peter and enhancing his darker emotions, and this is a really, really cool shot. I gotta say, like, some of the cinematography in this game, for a game, like, it's mental. But anyway, yeah, we can see MJ hiding from him here. I think this might be Peter at the peak of his powers with the symbiote, meaning this is probably at the point where he is his most aggressive, probably the most out of control when it comes to handling his darker inner emotions. The symbiote probably bringing the darker side of him out, and this probably scares MJ and probably scares everyone around him. So we then get to see Miles Morales swinging through what looks like a church at first, but then as he lands and confronts a bunch of the hunters who are obviously a part of Kraven's tribe, we then get to see it is in fact a museum of some sort, some kind of African animal museum. We can see a zebra on the wall. We can also see katanas up on the top there as well. So it looks like this could be Kraven's hideout, possibly his house. Who knows? Either way, I cannot wait to play a mission with Miles in here. It looks very, very awesome. We also then get a good look at the lizard and Peter using his tendrils to basically hold him down. And this looks like this may be after the gameplay footage that we did get, because as we know, Peter goes after the lizard solo, and he goes after the lizard by himself without the help of Miles Morales, saying that he is mine. And because Miles is nowhere to be seen in this scene, it looks like Peter is just basically trying to hold him down with the symbiote. I reckon this boss fight happens straight after that gameplay footage that we did get. But I think the most interesting thing about this scene, I don't think you guys would have caught this if you watched it for the first time, but we get to see the symbiote's weakness. Now, as we know, in the comics, the symbiote is weak to fire and very high frequency sounds, and that's kind of how it's been for a very, very long time. Now, if you flick through the frames in this scene, you can see that there are ripples around the outside, like very light ripples looking like sound waves, are affecting Peter and the symbiote in this scene. Now, it looks like this is coming from Lizard's roar, which could be a very loud and high frequency sound. We can see Peter's eyes widen. They look really wide and white there. And then as the scene goes on, a couple of frames later, the tendrils do retract from around the lizard, and Peter is holding his hands on his head, meaning that he is suffering from some sort of pain, obviously due to these sound waves. And it looks like if these sound waves are coming from the lizard's roar, this could be a weakness for the symbiote when fighting the lizard, meaning that the symbiote's power will not allow you to dominate the fight against this boss, meaning that potentially you will have to dodge his attacks with his sound waves. That could be a cool little feature for this boss fight if that is the case. We then get a cool shot of Kraven. This shot looks awesome as always, as the rest of the trailer does. We then get another shot of Harry, and we get a flicker of a few shots. Peter, obviously from the gameplay trailer, getting the symbiote as well. And then I think probably one of the more interesting shots in the trailer is Harry limping with what looks like a cane in his right hand on the left-hand side of the screen. It looks like he is in Oscorp or maybe Osborn Mansion, and he's kind of limping over to this handrail here. And I think that's really interesting because this might be Harry post just having his treatment with the symbiote or something like that, where basically he has become, you know, he's healed because of the symbiote or whatever treatment he has had. Or maybe it is maybe him deteriorating once again, or potentially it could be before his treatment. It could be a flashback. Who knows? Either way, Harry looks like he's on the way out in this scene, or he might be just recovering. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. Once again, you can't really pinpoint where this will be in the story, because it could be him recovering, it could be him deteriorating once again, it could be a flashback. Who knows? We then get a shot of Peter looking like he's in a lot of pain once again, but then the symbiote retaliating and basically, you know, all the tendrils spiking out, pushing all of the enemies backwards, and that's a really, really cool scene. I can't wait to be able to do that move in the game. We saw it in the gameplay trailer once again, being able to use the tendrils as the symbiote version of the character, just pushing all the enemies backwards, and it looks like it'll be a very special move. You get another good look at MJ as well. Once again, this shot looks really, really nice, and I really like MJ's design in this game. Once again, I'm pushing that. I'm a really big advocate of MJ's character design. We then get a good look at Miles's Venom Blast as well. That looks really, really awesome. Obviously, the blue electricity this time. And then a really interesting shot, another very, very interesting shot when it comes to the story of the game. We get a look at Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn in the same room where Harry was in the incubator. Him basically saying, "I'm not going to lose you, son." And obviously the green reflecting as well. We know the green is a metaphor for the Green Goblin to come, reflecting on Harry and Norman's face. Obviously it's the Osborn lineage, the Green Goblin. So, you know, it's very interesting that they're still teasing that as well. The symbiote in the background, I don't know when this takes place. This could take place after Harry's treatment or before. Maybe during when Harry is going through the treatment. Maybe he's going in and out of this incubator to try and keep him alive. And maybe that's what Norman is referring to here. Maybe Harry's sick of going in and out of it, and he's like, "Listen, son, I'm not going to lose you here. You've got to do this. You won't die." And that is obviously Harry, you know, feeling a little bit sad about it. We then cut to a scene with Harry throwing something at the window. Obviously, probably very, very angry. Maybe this might be him reacting to the news that there really is no treatment for him. Maybe this is before they inherit the symbiote. Maybe it's a flashback. Maybe he's angry at something else. Who knows? We know that potentially the identity of Peter Parker being revealed to Harry might be a key aspect in the game as well. So maybe this is him reacting to some sort of news that his best friend is Spider-Man. Who knows what it could be? But there are a lot of things that it could be. And there are a lot of elements in this story that could definitely warrant Harry to be angry. We know the stakes are very high for all the characters. So we'll just have to wait and see when the game comes out to what this scene actually entails. But as we get towards the end of the story trailer, we then get a shot of Harry looking over the city, which I think is very, very interesting, because then we do cut to Venom, and Venom saying, "We are going to heal the world," which I think pretty much confirms that Venom is going to be Harry Osborn. The scene with Venom is really, really awesome. We're in Times Square by the looks of things, and Venom is destroying a Craven helicarrier or helicopter or plane, whatever. The plane crashes into one of the billboards, and Venom lands and roars as we cut to the Spider-Man logo. So that is really, really interesting, and I think that is absolutely awesome. Venom looks incredible, and I cannot wait to see Venom in full action. Whether we get to play as Venom in this game, I don't actually know, but he looks awesome. I cannot wait to see him in this game. Anyway, that is it for my breakdown on the story trailer for Marvel Spider-Man 2. It is a very, very jam-packed trailer full of locations, full of gameplay, full of big story details as well, and reveals that, you know, would have taken me hours and hours to cover if we were to really nitpick everything. But that is the bare bones of everything that you really need to know. That is the big things, the big reveals that have happened in this trailer. Let me know if you spotted anything more interesting in the comment section down below. I want to hear all of your thoughts. But yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all types of Spider-Man news. We cover everything from the games, the movies, and the shows. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care and peace.